Hello, and welcome to Leading and Unity podcast here on Pereira Sports Network. It's a pleasure to be doing this again. Pleasure to have y'all watching, of course. But it's been a couple weeks since I recorded. I'm just gonna make a couple disclaimers before we get right into this. And that's my fault. Like school came up and I did a kind of a poor job scheduling, had things going on. Either way, doesn't matter. We're of course things are gonna get better, more smooth. But it's gonna be a fun episode, very fun episode. Today is just me again here on Leading in Unity. But I'm gonna hop right into it. I mean, the title of this episode, of course, if you didn't read it, is Watch Your Mouth. So we're gonna go over things like the importance of the things that we say as athletes, of course, everywhere in life. But we're just gonna focus on mostly the athlete portion of this as a leader, of course, on the field, off the field. Right now, it's January, so basketball seasons in full for in high school is full go right now. It's been fun, but of course, been going to some games. But mostly for me, the focus has been just getting ready physically. Of course, been lifting a lot since the fall. Now, just making sure I'm in shape, cardio wise, and stuff like that. Making sure we're more explosive. Start to do. I've been doing all the time, but focusing more on like footwork, band work already, throwing more. Got to throw some pens soon. Trying to two-way this year, but hitting the cages, which I'm actually going to right now after this episode. But yeah, just mentioning that because of course handling that is a very big part before you get into whatever you want to say, whatever you preach about. Is your actions got to be behind it, right? Because I can show up as if I want to be a leader to the field out of like tryouts, I guess we call it, training camp, whatever. I can show up out of shape. I'm not gonna play myself into shape, which I kind of trusted I was in better shape last year than I kind of was, and I got injured, especially here in New Jersey, where it's cold. If you're not in good shape, if you're not stretching well, doing all these mobility exercises, it is easy to strain muscles out there because you start playing in 35, 45-degree weather and it can be rough. But, anyways, let's get into the main topic of this episode, of course. Watch your mouth. I want to go over because I feel like a lot of people underestimate it. No, definitely in all aspects of life and especially in a team aspect, the importance of the things that you say. And I kind of wish Danny was here to like really be a testament to this. But it's like I feel like last year our team was very like just saying whatever, and like joking around way too much. And I feel like yeah, there's a time and place for that. But when you keep like giving this kind of divided vibe and joking about how whatever's like someone's doing on the field, it kind of gets to their head. Or obviously they won't show it, like they'll laugh, but it is something that holds a lot of importance. And I feel like there has to be a consistent message throughout what you preach as a leader. So going into like how much power is in the tongue, obviously in proverb, you have a proverb says the power of life and death is in the power of a tongue. You do with it as you so please. Of course, there's going to be consequences with that. So if you really, if that, of course, that's true because we've seen like the things that words could do, which I'm gonna give some examples on the field. Um, you should really use it wisely, especially as a leader. So how do we do that? Because obviously, you don't want to go into a locker room or you don't want to be on the field kind of second guessing everything you're saying with your teammates, with anyone in life. You don't want to kind of second guess everything. Oh my gosh, like I don't want to say the wrong thing because you're probably gonna slip up or you're probably gonna have a better chance of slipping up or you're gonna just be way too conservative and not say what you should or what's on your heart, etc. So yeah, it's thinking about that. So I feel like our words and what we say, well, I know this is rooted in our thoughts. That's why Paul tells us to take our thoughts captive, any bad thoughts, and make it obedient to Christ. But this also works on the field. It's like, what do you believe about yourself, right? Like, what are you thinking about daily? Are you thinking about, oh my gosh, I can't fail, or is your head like in a completely other spot? Like, let's be real. Like, is it just about? I mean, I told you we were gonna be vulnerable here. Is it about girls? Is it your mind on other things that kind of, when taken too far, will lead you away from your work ethic and being a good baseball player or whatever thing that you do? Like, where's your mind? Where are your thoughts? If my thoughts are, for example, I mean, like, oh, I'm gonna do this all for Christ. I need to think about like where He's leading me. Um, like, I'm gonna work hard today. I know that I'm gonna reap what I sow, right? I'm gonna reap what I sow. So like, if I'm just planting seeds of hard work, I'm gonna reap the results, the great consequences of hard work. And of course, that goes the other way around too. If I'm lazy, I'm gonna reap what I sow. The harvest I collect is gonna be a really bad one because I'm not gonna be ready, right? And I won't be ready mentally either. But there's a level of trust there, and the way you've been working, the way you handle yourself with, you've been handling yourself all off season or with other people or during the season, then there really shouldn't be, and obviously faith helps us a ton. In your faith in Christ, there shouldn't be a doubt, right? There shouldn't be a doubt. There should be a faith and a belief that you are going to persevere. Obviously, glory to God, and you're going to be like on that mountain with Him. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to show. I'm going in the box, and I'm telling myself barrel. Right? You're going on that basketball court, and you're like, I'm gonna make plays. Nobody's boxing me out. I'm gonna hit I'm gonna get open looks. I'm gonna hit this shot. I'm gonna set up my teammates. Right? Like, if you're going up with this mindset and you have a legit game plan and anything in life, that's gonna be good. And that starts in your thoughts. And then when it starts in your thoughts, and it's on your heart, your mouth is just going to pour that out. It's going to pour out through your mouth, which is, if it's something good on your heart, it's going to be good at the end of the day. Now, obviously, we're all going to slip up in this process, and we're going to slip up in the things that we say sometimes, right? It's all about consistency though, and that's everything in life. Like, just being consistent about how you work, what you say, the way you deliver things. But yeah, so it's like showing up, and I'm gonna show up and be Manny, right? Like, me personally, I'm a very fiery, passionate guy, and thanks to my faith, obviously that will show usually in a positive way with my teammates. Like, it used to be right before God, because I didn't grow up obviously like all in. Before God, it was like probably bad, and I would curse out like a friend or a teammate or whatever. But now it's like, oh, like, I'm passionate, but it's out of love. So my criticism, if I criticize someone, is going to be constructive, but I'm going to hold myself accountable over anything else. Over before I talk about anyone, right? It's take the speck out of your own eye first. So I try to be consistent in that. But let's say I show up and someone, and this could happen to this happens to everyone, right? Because when you think like, for example, my friend's going through something similar right now. A friend of mine, I won't name names, but when you show up and you want to like help set a culture, right? Because no one's going to do it alone, but you want to kind of spark the fire, which I'm going to go into the scripture that talks about that as I deliver this. There's going to be resistance. There always is. In everything worth it in life, there is anything that's worth it, there's going to be resistance. No one's going to take it from you, because whatever God has assigned to you is yours, but there will be resistance. The only time you lose is when you give up, right? So if you could show up wanting to set a culture, right, and you're like, all right, um things should be this way. If you guys want to win, it has to be this way. Like, so from the first thing in practice, right? The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. Like, no slacking when, like, for example, I know it sounds funny, but like, coach is not looking, whatever, you're gonna walk instead of jog the whole thing, right? Like, when we're running poles, for example, like we run a lot. It's like about not slacking. It's like, I'm all right, I'm gonna run this whole way through, right? The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. There's going to be people that aren't in that mental headspace and are going to give resistance and are just gonna be like, oh, this kid just who does he think he is? He's kind of a loudmouth. I mean, even if you're the senior, man, like sometimes be there will always be resistance, especially in the beginning. How do you battle that? How do you get past that as a team, right? As I said earlier, actions. If there's a senior and he's saying all this, right? Or like if I show up and I'm saying all this, but I'm not performing or I'm not doing it on the field, or like people are may question my effort, or like I'm going through a rough stretch, or I make a bad error on a routine play and I look nervous on the field, people are gonna laugh at me. It's gonna be hypocritical. This goes for anyone. Obviously, it would look hypocritical. It would look like no one would buy in, right? General example, no one will buy in. But so like it's like backing it up with your actions. I'm gonna play with a swagger. We're gonna show up, and whoever buys in, like we know what we're about. We're gonna work hard every day in practice. Um, like it's like building your pedigree on a team. So, and then as you do that, you say the little things, right? Because people see the actions and they see what the message behind it, and they're like, "Oh shoot, I'm gonna believe in this." This goes the same way as when you're a Christian and you're showing up with all this joy, all this peace, and people are like, "Holy cow! Like, where does this guy get all this love from?" And they're like, "Oh, isn't this the kid that is always like preaching about like Christ, obviously not religion, but like a relationship with God? Oh my gosh, that's available. Oh, I'm gonna try it, right?" And then those are the great things. That's how you spread the gospel even without like the one-on-one convo, right? And this goes in sports as well. If I'm like showing up, I'm performing, and all this stuff is going on, someone's gonna kind of buy in, right, to the message. There's gonna be more unity because the most important thing on a team is unity, and there might not be that in the beginning. So obviously, that's the first thing is actions. Second thing is not babbling, right? We can't babble, or else if you start to babble, when you talk, people will pay less attention because they're going to expect a lot and they're not going to grasp anything. Says a wise man says few words, right? That's another proverb. A fool just talks out of his you know what. But a wise man, when he says few words, but people listen, and those words speak dividends. So there could be a little word, a little message, a little the way you speak to someone that can spark a fire. Let's go to James chapter 3 verse 5. In the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark. So at first it says grand speeches, now it says just a tiny spark can set a forest on fire. So let's obviously go into this. The tongue is a small thing, but it can make grand speeches, right? So obviously sometimes grand speeches are great. On the field though, it's sometimes like first of all, you're probably not gonna have much time to say a grand speech to your whole team. Um, but like the little things is what matter. The little things that you say, right? So like that tiny little spark can set a forest on fire. I'm gonna mention a professional example of this exact thing happening. I live in West New York, and there's a um nonprofit center called Hope and Future. The owner, so it's like a gym, and like there's a basketball court. There's a lot of training. There's coaches have gone there. Obviously famous people have spoken there. It's great, cool community. It's free. A lot of kids go. People got their training in, working. Keeps people off the streets. They host events. Anyways, I just wanted to shout that out. For anyone that doesn't know, I want to shout that out, but because like their owner is John Paul. Sorry, I don't know his last name. I think it's Gonzalez, but I'm probably wrong. John Paul. Um, he is actually famous for like when the Giants in 2011 were kind of like this mid team. Like they were like I don't even know what their record was. They were probably like 5-5, and they kind of had like no direction. I think it was straight hands last year, and this is the year they won the Super Bowl, obviously. But like there was really no fire on that team, right? So what they need, a tiny spark, right? We heard a tiny spark can um set a great forest on fire. So I guess Coughlin invited him. I don't know the whole story. Coughlin invited him over to speak with the team. You know how like professional teams do this. They put a motivational speaker to just get in there. But meanwhile, by the way, this guy was a high school teacher when he did this. Motivational speaker, say a good message or whatever. Try see if it fires anyone up. If there's any takeaway. Anyways, this guy kills it. John Paul literally kills it. Crazy speech. These guys are full buying into what this guy's saying. And all his message was all in. Being all in, right? To be all in to the team, to the season. Like put your all into it. So they make t-shirts. This becomes an entire branding thing. They're in the Super Bowl. I think he was in like one of those NBC specials, like or whatever network was covering the Super Bowl. Like you know how they put like all these cute little stories with interviews before the Super Bowl. I think it was either before the Super Bowl or like a playoff game, whatever. But this guy blows up because of his message. This goes viral. Eli Manning is like wearing it on his chest all in, all in, all in, right? So the Giants were all in. Just that little spark, that little thing, obviously that sparked, not to say the word 100 times, that sparked a winning streak and a Super Bowl run, a Super Bowl championship. The New York Giants won a Super Bowl, the Super Bowl. Like I want to say it like to really so people can grasp this. With that spark, obviously that's setting a forest on fire, if you ask me. So with that spark, they won a Super Bowl. A guy that wasn't even on the team, just a high school teacher that used to play football, that's now speaking, doing motivational speaking. And the main thing they took away wasn't the grand speech; it was the all-in part, right? Obviously, he delivered it greatly. I could imagine it's probably somewhere on YouTube. You guys could look it up. But yeah, that's what I want to say. So, like, let's say you're 3-3 going into a season. You guys are you're a really talented team. You're I don't know, maybe not even 3-3. Maybe that's too good. Let's say I don't know, like 2-4, 1-5, like 1-4. Like things are looking bleak. It's the beginning of the year. Things are sluggish. There's a little bit of division, right? I want the main focus for all my young athletes out there, and is to focus on uniting your team, right? And to be all in and believing in what you guys could do. Because in reality, that Giants team was not the most talented team, maybe in their division. I think the Cowboys won the division that year. But they won a Super Bowl because of the intangible part. And like I know this sounds so cliche, like I'm almost cringing at myself, but because they literally like what they believed in each other. We saw the Jaguars for on Saturday come back 27 nothing lead, and Lawrence was just like, I just threw 4 picks, but my guys were still believing in me. You know, Etienne, these guys didn't give up on me. Peterson with a steady hand, and what, he dropped 31 points, led the biggest comeback in I think NFL playoff history, if I'm not mistaken, or 28. No, yeah, yeah. So which is incredible, right? After throwing 4 interceptions, comes out in the second half, throws 4 touchdowns. That's insane. In one half, no interceptions. And the Chargers didn't even turn the ball over. So that's just crazy. The amount of confidence that came in. We see the Giants this year. The guys believe in Daniel Jones, right? So it's like, and now he just had the game of his life. So I want there to be like as a leader, be very humble, right? Because if you're humble enough to sacrifice for your teammates and play AO1, audience of one, obviously representing Christ, which is a sacrificial type of love. So I'm not playing for my own gain. I'm doing it for his and for the gain of my teammates, right? So when you do that and your actions have it, I said this on the first episode, people will respect you. They may not like you, but they will respect you. When people respect you, they listen to what you have to say. And when they do that, just a little spark can set a forest on fire. So yeah, just focus on that. Obviously, your what you say, um, and even through the resistance, be the same guy, right? Don't change because when they see something's wrong and you're calling for unity, and they're like, "All right, we got nothing to lose." These are the guys I show up with every day. I go to school with them, and I practice with them, and I'm on the field with them. I go to war with them, right? When the culture set is unity, I'm not trying to be corny just because this thing is called leading in unity. Um, that can lead to great things and a spark and a forest on fire, which can lead to a championship run. So yeah, I hope that stuck with y'all. That's just the main part of the message. 21 minutes. I mean, I kind of put on the dot there, but just remember that what you say has massive importance. Watch your mouth and watch your thoughts because here is where starts everything, right? Last thing before we go, remember this. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become the trajectory of your life. So focus on this and let this overflow from the heart. Obviously, that's in a song. But yeah, love y'all. Hope that helps you. Pray that helps you all in your walks and as a leader anywhere. Keep acting on righteousness, I guess is the word. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready for this outro. But love y'all. God bless y'all and take care. Thanks for watching.